but it's still not showing up. And I know I saw the ultra low latency. Come on, am I on the right one? Yeah, number 37, right? Yeah, 37. This should be showing me a stream going, and it's not. There it is, finally. Showing me a stream going, and it's, yeah, but it's still not showing up. But it's still not showing up. Started up kind of late. Yeah, that's weird. All right. So, good morning. 9:02 a.m., August 19th, 2022, on a Friday morning. And this is... Oh, my Stream Deck is still on the Fortnite game. Windows Daily number 37 fixed a broken, complicated home office network. Yesterday's stream was called, let's see, the name's down here. The way I have this set up, it was called Windows Daily 36, Troubleshooting a Broken, Complicated Office Network. So I told you about the situation yesterday. And then shortly after yesterday's live stream, I started working with my client to fix it. And today, you're going to find out what the solution was. Now, looking back at the chat from yesterday, that's what I have displayed here on the screen. Oh, I guess I should go check and make sure you guys are reporting that AV is good from Tony. Thank you. Is there oh, yes, there's going to be a test. I'm going to talk, and it's a test for Ken Stout. So, yes, that is going to be a thing. Jeff, and here's Doug. I owe Hank everything good. So, thank you. Let's, well, you know what? I'm going to go back and acknowledge at the beginning at the beginning here. Ken was first in saying go. Tony Morning, it says good game, referring to Fortnite this morning where he joined us again. And Ken realized that he missed watching Fortnite this morning. I had a conversation, I had a private Zoom session with Ken Stout yesterday, and I couldn't quite get it out of him. I could sense behind, when I look at his eyes, I could sense back there he was wanting to admit the truth. And I don't think he's actually admitted it to himself yet. It just seemed like he wanted to admit to me and to himself that he has a strong desire to learn how to play Fortnite. I think that's a thing for him. Okay, so here. This is yesterday's chat, and what I want to respond to here is Lawn Dog. On the subject of using Macrium as a backup, it seems like you rely heavily on this instead of Microsoft Restore, which we all know doesn't work as well as it should. Now, I think Lawn Dog is referring here to System Restore, Windows System Restore, and I do use that. I do rely on that. There are times when I want to use that instead of a restore. However, that's usually because I don't have a full system backup for the time period that I want to restore to. So usually when I'm using the Windows System Restore, it's because of something that's gone wrong with the client's computer, and we don't have a full backup or even an incremental or differential. It's on a client's computer. And some of them I have Macrium Reflect free set up to do backups, and that's legal. Macrium Reflect does allow commercial free use of Macrium Reflect. You know, they have certain caveats, and there's certain features that aren't available, but I do have that set up on some of my clients' computers. Now, I have had on occasion where a client's computer has System Restore available and has an image backup. I will go first for the image restore. Restoring the image. If we don't have an image backup, then I will do System Restore. Now, System Restore is not a backup restore. It's only restoring the operating system files and configurations and drivers and things like that. It does not restore data. It does not restore programs. And if you've installed a program after that system restore point that you're going to, you're probably going to have to reinstall the program. So there are some caveats to it. I have a lot of experience with system restore, and LiveWindowsTraining is completely correct in saying it doesn't work as well as it should. And what's more, Windows 10 in many circumstances has it deactivated by default. So when I'm setting up a computer for a client, I always turn that on if it's not already on. Sometimes it's already on, sometimes it's not. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Oh. Okay, moving on. Yeah, and he says, this is a subject I really want to look into because I run into issues like I did yesterday. I discovered something that seems much easier just to roll it back the way you do. And I find sometimes when I do system restore, it just doesn't work very well. And I'll connect remotely to a client's computer and start that. And sometimes it has gone an hour or two and has not completed. And at that point, I bail on it and go to plan B because it should not take. Depending upon the speed of the hard drive, how old the system restore is, I let it go for at least an hour before I give up on it. All right, then what else is there? Oh, Lawn Dog also saying the quiz is interesting. And he tells us some stuff about his Windows 7, Windows 10 sharing. I do remember some trouble with that when Windows 10 came along. Some problem going one direction or the other. I don't remember what it was. And it really seemed pretty flaky, difficult to solve. And now, he also says, is there a way to reset the settings back to default? Well, yes, there are ways to do that, but I think you would be well served to check out Carrie Holzman, I believe, has an app for resetting network settings to default Windows settings, or it does some reset stuff. Now, I haven't tried it, but I know that it has been reported by many people to have solved their problems. So I'm not sure. You probably go to his channel and search for network reset, something like that, to find that. Or maybe somebody in chat knows a quicker way to get to that. I think it was made by the same company that makes the Uncle Carrie's, what tool? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm forgetting the name of it. Somebody will give us that in chat. There's other questions that we dealt with yesterday about the actual symptom that I was troubleshooting, but I looked through these this morning, and I don't think there's anything else in there that I really want to address because some of that's going to be covered in today's topic. Okay, so then come over here and let's see. I've got to click live to get caught up with chat, and then pause that. And then go down to the end and see what we're saying here. Yeah, Jeff Ryman, it's D7 X Tech and the optimizers, Uncle Carrie's optimizer. Windows 10 optimizer, something like that. But that's not the network resetter. Yes, Doug, I do not understand why Windows 10 disables restore, sets it to 0, meaning one restore. It's been like that for years. Oh, if you want to get more than one restore, you can do that. You can go configure system restore and provide more disk space for it, and then it will do more restore points. If your amount of disk space reserved for that is too small, then it's only you may only get one restore point. Sell yesterday's answers, mentioned the link that should take everyone to DaVinci Daily. Actually, Ken and everyone else, at the end of this live stream today, it will automatically take you to Ken Stout's Daily DaVinci, or DaVinci Daily DaVinci. I think it's actually Windows Daily DaVinci. I think it's what's called on your channel. Yeah, well, at the end of this stream, it will automatically take you to his live stream, even if he hasn't started it yet. So let's see, I guess I need to look for question marks in orange. Question marks in orange to see if there's something else specifically for me to respond to. Is there a test? Yes, there's a test for Ken Stout. So here's, during today's session, all of you in chat can type in, like we did yesterday, QFK. I'm gonna demonstrate that here. Let's turn off my picture-in-picture. QFK, lowercase or capitals, doesn't matter. QFK and then an equal sign, and then type your question for Ken, or quiz, not question, quiz. It's a quiz on today's content for Ken. Now you don't actually type the words quiz for Ken. You know, do the QFK equal sign and then type your quiz for Ken based upon the content that I'm giving today, the story that I'm telling today. So that means you have to pay attention to what I'm saying so that you can formulate a question and then type out that question at any point. You don't have to wait till the end. You can type in those QFKs at any point in time. And then at the end, I'll go back and read them out. And we're going to, let's see, I'll go ahead and press enter there so you see it on screen how to type it. So then we'll get Ken's response on at least one of them. But yeah, now here's I didn't have the notion that I was going to do this yesterday when I first did this QFK. I thought it was going to be a one-off thing, but last night I caught a little. This morning I caught some of Ken Stout live last night, and they did some teasing of Doug. And I walked through the PR department here this morning. Bunch of Dougs in there. They're all Dougs. I walked through the PR department here, and they were just laughing and rolling and enjoying it. And they said, "Hey, you gotta look at this. You gotta look at this." And they totally loved it. So then I realized, okay, well, and now he was getting back at me a little bit. Now I'm going to get back at him a little bit. This might become a regular thing. QFK, quiz for Ken, where the whole audience in the chat room comes up for quizzes for Ken based upon what I'm presenting, and then we'll see how he does. Because not only does he want to learn Fortnite, but he is also a technician in training. It is our task as a community to train Ken as a computer technician. How about that? Now, let's get into the story. Where do I want to go to present this? I guess, okay, do a quick review. Come back to the keyboard camera. Oh, it's all turned around. Here's that equipment up here, down here on my desk. So what we had was an ISP router. We had a VPN router. We had a network switch and another network switch. And then we have the Wi-Fi access point. That's the equipment involved. And what was happening is when we connect a laptop directly to a LAN port of the ISP router, the laptop gets assigned a public IP address and it can browse the internet just fine. So I was thinking that that's not normally the case. An ISP router should be providing local IP addresses such as 192.168.1.something or 10.1.10.something. That's typically the way it's done. So that seemed odd to me. That was a big question mark. And we weren't certain if that's the way it's supposed to be. Now, the way it's designed is to provide internet connection to the VPN router. Then this VPN router has DHCP capabilities to provide local area IP addresses to all the computers that are attached to the two switches. This switch was on the bottom floor of the condo and has Ethernet cables running to the equipment that's on that floor. One of the wires coming from this Ethernet switch would go to this Ethernet switch on the upper floor, and it has Ethernet cables going out to all the equipment on that floor, and one of those Ethernet cables goes to the wireless access point. All the computers were able to connect to the wireless access point, but they weren't able to browse the internet. They didn't have internet connection, even though the wires were all connected properly through all this equipment. When we connect a laptop directly to the ISP's device, I'm not going to call it a modem or a router because we're not sure what it is at that point in time, it's able to browse the internet. So that would kind of make me think this device was working okay. So yesterday when I connected remotely to my client's computer and we talked over the situation, I was looking through my notes and I came to realize, oh, I remember now Before we had this VPN router, we had, oh, I guess I didn't bring it in here. We had a Ubiquiti Edge router Lite that I custom configured for him that we put in many years ago. This one we put in several months ago. Now, when we put in that Edge router, my client, as we were talking about this yesterday, he says, oh yeah, I had to return a piece of equipment to the internet service provider. And I said, okay, I think that must have been their router, that they originally provided a modem and a router to you, and that's their normal way of doing things. And yes, indeed, we confirmed that's the way it's supposed to be. So that means this device is an internet modem. It is supposed to output a public IP address to the internet service provider's router. Well, we replaced that some time ago because we didn't feel the firewall was good enough on it. We replaced it with this one as a VPN router. So that says this device is fine. It's working the way it's supposed to. All right. So yesterday I connected remotely to my client's laptop. He had this Ethernet, a 50-foot Ethernet line from this ISP's modem going to the laptop on the upper floor. And therefore, I was able to connect remotely to his laptop. Then, while I'm connected remotely to his laptop, through this connection, I used the Wi-Fi on his laptop to connect to the Wi-Fi router. See, is that how I get that in view? There. So I connected to the Wi-Fi router. It was connected to the switch upstairs. That switch was connected to the switch downstairs. That switch was connected to the VPN router. That gave me access to the VPN router's configuration screen so that I could check to see how it's configured. Because I was thinking the problem was probably because the ISP modem has changed to a different public IP address and that this device was configured with a static IP address to communicate with this. Now there's a problem. I could get to the programming interface for the VPN router. When I went to the screen that deals with the WAN connection, Wide Area Network, WAN stands for Wide Area Network. When I got to that screen, it says that I have to connect an Ethernet cable before I can make any adjustments there, before I can see the configuration. It didn't use that many words, right? It said connect a cable or no cable connected. So I couldn't get into the configuration. So I didn't know if it was configured for static IP address or DHCP. So how do I do that? I can't connect this VPN router to the modem. If I do that, I lose my remote connection to my client's laptop. So what we did is I brought this screen up so that it's at the screen saying connect an Ethernet cable. And then I disconnected my remote connection. Actually, I didn't disconnect it. I left connected, but you'll understand that in a moment. And I explained to my client, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to switch to FaceTime. We both had iPhones, so we're going to switch to FaceTime. Now, if we didn't both have iPhones, there's other ways that I can connect to his camera on his phone without relying on these devices. But we have FaceTime, so that's the way we did. And then I told my client, I want you to connect the Ethernet from the WAN port of the VPN router to the ISP's modem. And that will establish that connection. And then we'll use the video through the phone to make the adjustments. So when that was where I was connected, then we saw a drop-down box that was currently set on DHCP. I had him click that, and our other choices were static IP address, so DHCP or static IP address or PPOE. Point-to-point protocol over Ethernet, I think is what that stands for. And so it was set on DHCP. So that should work. And actually, the configuration screen indicated that, yes, it was connected. But yet, all the devices out here were not able to browse the internet, and they were not able to ping the gateway of this device, which the gateway for this device is out at the internet service provider's connection. So, what to do? So now what I decide, okay, well, let's try configuring this for a static IP address. So I had him change it to static, and I read out that public IP address to him and what the subnet mask should be, and what the gateway address should be, and what the DNS addresses should be. So he had to enter the static IP address, the subnet address, the gateway address, and 2 DNS addresses. Now, each one of those addresses has 4 octets. An octet is like 192 is 1 octet, dot 168, that's the second octet, dot 1 or 138, or it could be up to 3 digits, and dot, and then a 4th number. So each of those octets could have up to 3 digits. So I had to read all those out to him. He had to type them all in, and then we click apply. And then let's see if you can browse the internet. No dice. Did not work. So what to do? Now I'm concerned at this point about messing around with the configuration of this device. So I need to find out what it is. So I ask him, is there a model number, a make and model of the internet service provider's modem? And he looks at it a bit and can't figure it out and decides, well, you can take a photo with your phone and send that to me by text, and I can zoom in on it. So I found the make and model of the device and then searched Google for that device, and was only interested, I found actually Google searches for that make and model of device with his internet service provider's name, which was Spectrum, SPECTRUM. And they did fine through this whole thing. I'm not throwing them under the bus at all. Well, yeah, okay, moving on. Yeah, stop, don't go there, Doug, don't go there. So I found the manual and I confirmed this is a modem. It is not a router, and it has to have a router connected downstream from it. So now I'm contemplating resetting this. So we go search in the manual for reset instructions, but that doesn't make sense to me because it's working. I connect a laptop to it and it works. We can browse the internet. So I'm telling my client at this point, okay, we're going to throw some mud. We're just going to throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. It doesn't make sense to go down this road, but we're going to try it. I had looked through the manual. I find their manual online to find out, does this need any configuration? Because not only is this a modem for internet, but it also provides the phone service, the landline phone service for his weekend home. I'm calling it a weekend home, but actually some members of his family have lived there full time on occasions. So I'm concerned, is there some configurations to do it? I asked my client, when they installed that, did they come out and install it? Did they have to do any configuration? He says, yes, they did come out and install it, but they were also installing phones and doing some wiring stuff. And he didn't know if they had any configuration to do on that. So I went looking through the manual, and it looked like we can do a factory reset on it safely. So we find there's a button on it that if you hold it for 5 seconds, that will do a reset, meaning a restart. If you hold it over 10 seconds, then it does a factory reset to reset it to factory specifications. At this point, I'm thinking this isn't really called for. No intelligent troubleshooter would have reason to do this because it works. We connect a laptop to it and it works. We did the factory reset, went over to this laptop, it works. Go try the computers that connect through Wi-Fi, they can browse the internet. It works. Everything works. 2 minutes before we had the conclusion that it was fixed, I thought I might have to drive out there to figure this out. We might have to have the Spectrum technician come out and see if they can figure something out. solution. It's very simple to implement, but it was not indicated. So I told my client, here's what I want you to do. Find yourself a Post-it note. Write on the Post-it note, to fix internet, hold down this button, draw an arrow to the button for more than 10 seconds for factory reset. So that if he has an internet problem again, that'll be the first thing he goes and does. If he calls me in 6 months, I'm not going to likely remember that was the solution for him because I do other things. This is one of those occasions when it took far longer than it would have, could have, should have. But he had already restarted all the equipment. He had already restarted this device before he ever called me. He's been through enough experience with me. He knows that. He unplugged everything, restarted everything. That didn't solve the problem because we had to get to a factory reset. Okay, so that's the story, and I'm sticking to it. No. I was like, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, do we have some questions for Ken? QFK, it's quizzes for Ken. We're wanting Ken to provide the answer. And your experience in that is that just creating the quiz is kind of telling me that you know the answer to that. So it's essentially a quiz for you just because you can make up a quiz question. So quiz question for Ken based upon today's story. So let's pop out chat. That 3-dot menu, I believe any of you can do that if you want to. And we'll make this window big. And I'll control plus sign to make zoom in. And then look for QFKs and question marks and oranges. We already dealt with that. Ken says, sweet, thanks. And that's relation to the thing at the end that takes you to him. Photo mix media. What is QFK? Quiz for Ken. Q stands for quiz. F stands for the word for, F-O-R. K stands for Ken. So it's quiz for Ken. What an idea. I must try this out on my daily Da Vinci. QFK, is technician in training a lost cause? Well, you know what? Maybe I'll set up a poll next time. Do we think technician in training for Ken is a lost cause? Photo mix media. Love this in training idea. Some remedial study will be required. QFK. Which Doug solved the home office network? So Ken, tick tock, tick tock. Go ahead and put an answer to that question. Which Doug solved the home office network? I have no idea how he's going to interpret that, but I think that's probably going to be a freebie for you, Ken. QFK, how many light bulbs Doug changes? Okay, that's a fair question. Remember, the quiz is based upon today's content, what I've described. So, today's story, how many light bulbs did Doug change? Okay, looking for more QFKs. Photo mix media, I always like your thought process. Thank you. Let's see, now you look for QFKs, question marks, and orange. What DNS setting did you set at first time? I used 8.8.8 and 1.1.1.1. And then I went back and I tried the DNS settings that the internet service provider had actually provided to his laptop. You know, when we let the laptop get DHCP from the modem, we tried those DNS settings and still no joy. Let's see. I kind of suggested that in the very beginning, but also hesitated on actually doing that because sometimes things get really screwed up. Yeah, and I believe you did, and all the time from when I started thinking about factory reset, I was really concerned about whether there's any specific configuration that Spectrum needs to do. And I was worried that I might lose the connectivity that I already had, because I had him set up so he could use his laptop to connect remotely to his office, but nobody else in the weekend home could use the internet. Because you have to start all over with the settings. Chances are what happens, either momentary power glitch, possibly an update was sent from the internet provider to that modem and didn't go as it should. I can't explain. Why was that modem able to provide service to the laptop, but not able to provide service to a router? It still does not make sense. What is the media, Doug? Question from Ken. What is the media, Doug? What is the media, Doug? Oh, is that his answer? Which Doug did something? Which Doug solved the home office network? And I think he's answering that by using that quiz show on TV that they would provide the answer and then you give the question. So I think Ken's not quite understanding that he's supposed to give an answer, not give a question. Tech and training. Oh, dear. Yeah. Catherine? Okay. Well played, Catherine. I walked right into that one. Technician in training. Well, you know what, Ken? I think you're going to have to live with that. I would like to phone a friend on the light bulbs. Mine was dimming during that segment. QFK, how many times has Josh reloaded Windows on his new computer? According to today's presentation from me. Okay, that's restricted. That quiz for Ken. How many times has Josh reloaded Windows on his computer? According to today's content from me. It says no. It's the answer in the Jeopardy form. Well, I thought Jeopardy gives you the answer and the contestants are supposed to provide the question. Yeah, we're not doing Jeopardy. Let's see, QFK. How many rests does Doug... Tony, question for Ken. How many rests does Doug do? I don't understand the question. How many rests? How many modem? Was it reset? Oh, how many reset does Doug do? Okay, there's a question for Ken. How many resets did I do to the internet service provider's modem? Ken, we're waiting for your answer. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Ken, let me give you a clue. It should be a number, not a question. Rests, resets, I think. Yes, Catherine, I agree. Tick tock. I need a time limit here. Ken's trying to think, how does he come up with the answer of how many times did I reset the internet service provider's modem? There. One was a... Come on. One was a 5-second and the other was a 10 seconds. I believe you deferred to the 10 and thus the answer. So good. Hey, boy, you pointed out how that question was a little more complicated. Yeah, and I didn't actually instruct the client to do the 5-second. I only instructed him to do the 10 seconds. So answer is 1. Very good. All right. I think we're done. As always, I hope you found that helpful, useful, and perhaps entertaining. Oh, what have we got here? Here's another question for Ken. Doug mentioned a very important IP address to know. It was the DNS for Google. What was it? I didn't call it for Google, did I? Let's defer that. We're done. We're done. Yeah, I don't think I identified it as Google. 8.8.8.8. DNS address that Google provides for DNS. Now the other one, 1.1.1. That is provided by, I never do remember their name. All right. I hope that was useful. Have a good day. Catch you later. Goodbye. What do I press? Oh, that button, according to Doug.